What is the biggest problem affecting the most men today? I would say lack of purpose. A lot of what has been mentioned here, depression, suicide, disaffection, etc., most likely stems from feeling unnecessary. Or at least it is one contributing factor. Mental health and loneliness. Economics. My grandfather didn't graduate high school, but was able to support 6 kids, a wife, buy a home, and have a pension. I graduated from college and make significantly more than most Americans, but I still can't meet his standard of living. Loneliness, it's making my life miserable. Social isolation. Pathetically low wages for jobs that require 8 years of relevant experience. Example: lab manager for $25K is unfucking acceptable. Suicide. The typical wage slave lives a life devoid of any real meaning or purpose. There's a lot being done to break down the stigma of men's mental health, but there's still a perceived value decrease for men who express emotions outside of situations deemed appropriate by others. Lack of purpose. Loneliness. As a man, I'm okay with being alone for the most part, but everyone wants to be seen, heard, and loved. I feel a lot of men will claim that they don't care, but deep down everyone wants that connection. This in return feeds the depression. Lack of a feeling of responsibility. Lack of a community. The feeling of being disposable. Economy. I swear most of the time when I hang out with my buddies, they will either talk about money, politics, economy on the whole, wars and bragging. Housing prices. Poverty technically. Poor social skills. Improving social skills makes it easier to find better friends, have more fulfilling friendships, ask for help when you need it, find better relationships and find jobs. Just not being able to talk to anybody at all about how or what I really feel. Guilt traps everywhere what I do. Mental health. I started going to psychiatry. It was going well, until I started explaining more of my trauma and problems. My psychiatrist got uncomfortable with me and they discharged me because they want their staff to feel safe. The fact that we get told that our feelings matter by people who really couldn't give a shit. We get told that not talking about our issues is considered toxic masculinity by the same people who think that merely saying open up is some kind of magic spell that will all of a sudden make it easy to do just that. Don't you think if society truly cared about our emotions, or we felt like it, we would? Only getting intimacy from sexual intercourse. I'm convinced most men just want a hug or to be held most of the time rather than bang, but that's not how men are supposed to be. Lack of touch. Physical touching. Apparently sperm count if you read the news. Depression. Prostate and other male-centric medical problems. Trying to choose a life partner or wife would be a distant second most problem. Probably the new financial landscape that makes so many full-time working men barely being able to afford an apartment. Home ownership for many men is the duty of men. The idea that we run everything and are so disposable at the same time. Married 10 years, 5 kids. No friends. I have fuck all to talk about my problems with. I have no time to go do anything. I'm putting on about 5 pounds a year and I've just stopped caring. Here's to dying a slow, quiet, lonely death. I'd say loneliness and boredom. I feel empty right now and I'm an absolute pariah in my area. Been here for 13 years and a tourist trap, and the locals are elitists who want nothing to do with me. Lack of affection and sex is one thing too. We don't ask for much to simply improve our mental health. Talk to most of my guy friends. Sometimes it happens that even our own mothers do not understand us, and believe that our problems are insignificant. It's very sad. Bad fathers. Bad parenting. Lack of positive role models to teach men self-confidence. Mullets making a comeback is pretty bad. I think mental health and the response to men's mental health is critical. Men continue to be vilified because of the rampant increase of reported sexual assaults. Men don't report their abuse, mostly due to shame. And if men do come forward with any issues regarding their mental status, they're labeled as weak. And the retort to these issues are, almost immediately, women have it worse. Honestly, it'd be nice to actually be listened to. But it seems the only time men's mental health is ever taken into consideration is when we have to bring their body down from the noose. Porn addiction. It is amazing how much it fucks with your mind. Microplastics. One of the biggest problems both sexes face today is narcissistic abuse, and, unfortunately, narcissistic abuse is already tolerated in society and with the law. When combined with the be a man rhetoric of toxic masculinity, it makes us uniquely good victims for a narcissistic person. The majority of people alive today were raised by at least one parent with narcissistic tendencies. It's the second-hand smoke of mental health. It can damage us and make us sick even when it's someone else doing it. Diarrhea. That my value as a person is directly linked to my ability, or inability, to provide for others. It seems more noticeable as I get older. Like women I meet to potentially date are judging me on my ability to take care of them financially. I usually find the same women are into women's rights and feminism. They want a traditional relationship but also want to play the sexism card whenever it benefits them. The double standard is ridiculous. I think this is why we see so many younger men choosing to not get married or have children. There's no upside anymore. Obesity. Work towards physical health and it helps a lot with the mental struggles. Netflix, Disney, etc. portraying men as either utter pigs or absolute bumbling idiots that can even change a tire. No in between, no normal behavior. No shining examples for boys to follow. 1. Lack of sleep. 2. Act like a man mentality squeezes us out more than ever. Not being able to be ourselves a lot of the time. Not being able to express most emotions and having to put on this facade of a stereotypical man. Anything less than that and we're perceived in a negative light. Porn addiction is a huge problem. Our emotions are compared to a child. Man up? Can't I be an adult who happens to be nervous about something? For people in general, mental health. Unemployment despite trying. World is rigged against entry-level job seekers without contacts. You're essentially told to get a job through nepotism because that's all you can do in the beginning and this is just the norm. Loneliness and extremely unrealistic expectations from society. Men, nowadays more than ever, don't feel understood and supported in way too many areas of life. Men specifically I think feel loneliness much more than women do by average. I think general stress and hopelessness is felt very strongly by both genders at the moment. There is a general feeling of the world going downhill in almost every way and the people in control only looking after themselves with little chance of any of that changing with anything shy of a civil war. The communal anxiety spreading through the world, I think, is breaking people inside and out. Men, again generally, aren't allowed to feel this way so it tends to get pent up. Relying solely on online dating. Folks, there's a reason so many more people are lonely these days. Mental health, loneliness, and lack of male-only spaces, support groups, fraternal organizations etc. I still feel like we're not allowed to feel. If you voice anything it's met with complete dismissal and sometimes even anger. You're feeling how you are and it develops into an attempt at why you're not entitled to feel sad. Mixed signals from society and institutions. Open up, but if you do you're to blame because you're burdening people with your problems. A lot of men have problems that will make me cry when I hear about them. But one thing not to do is to turn your face away. Problems like lack or resources for homeless men, when even homeless women with more resources still also need more resources, just showing the urgency, are so incredibly pressing that thinking about them too long makes me want to lay down in bed, eat chocolate and watch Testament of Youth just so I can cry more. People touching the thermostat. Loneliness. A lot of men don't reach out to each other because manliness. A lot of men don't reach out to women for fear of rejection. A lot of women don't reach out to men for fear of leading them in. The villainizing of hobbies, pastimes that help us cope, relax and de-stress. Engaging in things that make you happy and help you feel better should not be made into a bad thing because it doesn't involve anyone but the person doing the hobby. Wanting to spend time alone while engaged in a hobby for 2-3 hours does not mean that a man prefers being alone over being with her. So, hobbies and alone time are important, don't make them a bad thing. Porn addiction. And I'm pro-sex work. Nothing to do with religious belief but porn fucks you up and a lot of people don't realize how harmful it is on your sex life. I'm older and I still have men in my peer groups who are so close-minded and hateful. I've been questioned as to why I'm so okay with my wife making the big bucks, why I'm fine if my kids are LGBT, and despite being a big macho-looking man guys wonder why I'm so soft-spoken and gentle. These same dudes will lament at the gym as to why their kids don't talk to them anymore and their wives ignore them. I mean, I wonder why? Guys like this perpetuate horrible perspectives and I try to stay far away. Being considered the problem. Unrealistic expectations, unobtainable perfection, perceived standards defined online and on television, mental health and drug addiction, and loneliness from all of the above. Loneliness whether in a relationship or not. For me, it is the pressure of being the key breadwinner for the family whilst my wife and daughter both have various mental health issues, and at the same time having to protect my son from all of it. As I am self-employed, I don't get paid if I am not in. I have a high-pressure job, type 2 diabetes, and I am generally fucked. I know I am going to die before I can retire to make sure I can provide for my family. So in short, it is the pressure of keeping everything ticking whilst everything crumbles and you are expected to get on with it. The suppression of male masculinity by people who have no clue what testosterone feels like. Rampant insecurities.